Hello again and welcome to The Way Back. Have you ever wondered what could be the cause of a war that involved two powerful nations in the late 19th century, Spain and America? Picture this. The year is 1898. In the heart of Havana harbor rests the USS Maine, an American naval ship. But in an unexpected twist of fate, the Maine meets a tragic end, sinking into the harbor's depths after a mysterious explosion. This event is the catalyst that sets the stage for the Spanish-American War. Tensions were already simmering between the two nations, largely due to Spain's colonial rule in Cuba. The American public, fueled by sensationalist press coverage, was sympathetic to the Cuban struggle for independence. The sinking of the Maine, with its 266 American casualties, was the final straw. It was perceived as a direct attack on American sovereignty, and cries for retaliation echoed across the nation. The sinking of the USS Maine was the spark that ignited the flame of war. But what followed? Following the tragic incident of the USS Maine, war was declared on April 25, 1898. The Spanish-American War had officially begun. This was a conflict that would span the globe from the Caribbean to the Pacific, and would mark a pivotal moment in world history. The first major battle of this newly ignited war took place in a far-off corner of the Pacific, in Manila Bay, Philippines. The Americans, under the leadership of Commodore George Dewey, had been lying in wait in Hong Kong, and upon hearing of the declaration of war, set sail for the Philippines. The Spanish, unaware of the impending attack, were caught off guard when the American fleet appeared on the horizon. Dewey's strategic approach was simple, yet effective. His orders were clear. Fire when ready, Gridley. And fire they did. His fleet, armed with superior firepower and a determined crew, launched a surprise attack in the early hours of May 1, 1898. The Spanish fleet, caught by surprise and unable to respond effectively, was decimated. The Battle of Manila Bay was a decisive victory for the Americans. The Spanish fleet was destroyed with only one American casualty, a stark contrast to the heavy losses suffered by the Spanish. This battle demonstrated the might of the American naval force and marked the beginning of the end for Spanish colonial rule in the Pacific. However, Dewey's triumph was not just due to his strategic prowess and the bravery of his crew. It was also a result of the crumbling Spanish Empire, strained by years of conflict and unrest. The Spanish were ill-prepared, their ships outdated and their morale low. This was a war they were not ready for. With the victory in Manila Bay, the Americans had made their mark. They had shown the world their strength and resolve. But this was just the first battle in a war that would span several months and claim many lives. The war was far from over. While the Pacific saw the first major battle, the Caribbean front was heating up as well. As the war was unfolding, Cuba became a crucial battleground, with two significant battles taking center stage, the Battle of Santiago de Cuba and the Battle of San Juan Hill. The former was a naval showdown that took place on the 1st of July, 1898. American forces, under the command of William T. Sampson, made a decisive attack against the Spanish Caribbean squadron. The result was a resounding victory for the Americans, effectively crippling the Spanish naval forces in the Caribbean and giving the US a strategic advantage. On the same day, a few miles inland, the Battle of San Juan Hill was raging. This land battle was another crucial turning point in the war, with the future US President Theodore Roosevelt playing a pivotal role. Roosevelt, leading his volunteer cavalry regiment known as the Rough Riders, charged up San Juan Hill against formidable Spanish defenses. Despite being heavily outnumbered and outgunned, the Rough Riders, coupled with the support of African-American regiments, managed to seize the hilltop. The victory was a testament to their courage and tenacity, and it marked a significant turning point in the war. The success at San Juan Hill gave the Americans control over the heights overlooking Santiago de Cuba, the Spanish stronghold in the east of the island. Theodore Roosevelt's leadership during the battle elevated him to the status of a national hero. His daring charge up the hill became one of the most iconic moments of the war, contributing significantly to his political career. These battles were not just military victories. but were symbolic victories that boosted the morale of the American forces, demonstrating that they could hold their own against a European power. They brought the United States one step closer to achieving their ultimate goal, the liberation of Cuba from Spanish rule. The victories in Cuba brought the Americans closer to their goal, but the war was still ongoing. By the end of summer 1898, the war had swung decisively in favor of the Americans. The Spanish forces were depleted, their resources drained, and their morale shattered. The American forces, on the other hand, were in high spirits, their victories in Cuba and the Philippines boosting their confidence. As the war reached its inevitable conclusion, negotiations began for a peace treaty. Both sides convened in Paris, and on December 10, 1898, the Treaty of Paris was signed. This treaty set forth the terms that officially ended the Spanish-American War. The Treaty of Paris was a turning point in world history. It didn't just end a war, it reshaped the world map and marked the dawn of a new era. Under the terms of the treaty, Spain relinquished control over Cuba and ceded Puerto Rico, Guam and the Philippines to the United States. This was a monumental shift, as America, a relatively young nation, was suddenly thrust onto the global stage as a new imperial power. The repercussions of this treaty were far-reaching. The Spanish Empire, once a powerful global force, was now a shadow of its former self. Its influence waned, and its colonies were either independent or under the control of other nations. On the other hand, the United States, with its new territories, was now a force to be reckoned with. It had a foothold in the Caribbean and the Pacific, making it a significant player in global politics. But this new status came with its own set of challenges. The United States had to navigate the complexities of ruling over foreign lands with different cultures, languages and traditions. This led to a series of conflicts and struggles that would shape the course of the 20th century. The Treaty of Paris marked the end of the Spanish-American War, but its impact echoed well into the 20th century. It was more than a peace treaty. It was a pivotal moment that marked the rise of a new global power and the fall of an old empire. The war lasted for only 10 weeks, but its consequences were far-reaching. The immediate aftermath of the Spanish-American War brought about a whirlwind of political and social changes. In the United States, victory confirmed the nation's status as a world power. The acquisition of territories such as Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines marked the beginning of American overseas imperialism, a stark contrast to the country's previous isolationist stance. This shift in policy would shape the nation's foreign relations for decades to come. In Spain, the loss of its last major overseas territories signaled the end of the once grand Spanish Empire. This defeat led to a period of profound introspection and reform, culminating in the establishment of a constitutional monarchy. Spain reoriented itself towards Europe, laying the groundwork for its eventual integration into the European Union. But the war's legacy was not confined to these two nations. In Cuba, the Platt Amendment ensured American influence long after the war. Cuba was promised independence but was effectively made into a US protectorate, a status that would fuel resentment and eventually contribute to the Cuban Revolution in the mid-20th century. The Philippines, on the other hand, saw a shift from Spanish to American rule. The promise of freedom was replaced by a new colonial master, leading to the Philippine-American War, a bloody conflict that would last for 3 years. This war, brief as it was, left a lasting imprint on the world stage. It marked the dawn of American imperialism, altered the course of Spanish history, and set the stage for future conflicts and struggles for independence. The Spanish-American War, a short but significant chapter in world history, forever changed the course of two nations and left an indelible mark on the world. This war served as a stark reminder of the far-reaching consequences of global power struggles and the lasting impact they can have on nations and their people. In this brief journey through time, we delved into a war that reshaped nations. We began with the explosive sinking of the USS Maine, a pivotal event that ignited the flame of conflict between Spain and America. The outbreak of war was swift and fierce, with battles fought on both land and sea, each side determined to claim their stake. We ventured into the Cuban front, the stage of major battles where bravery was tested and legends were born. We witnessed the end of the war with the Treaty of Paris, a document that not only ended the conflict, but also marked the dawn of a new era for both nations. We saw the aftermath, the legacy left behind, a changed geopolitical landscape, the emergence of America as a global power, and the beginning of the end for Spain's colonial empire. The Spanish-American War, a testament to the changing tides of power, continues to echo through the annals of history. Thank you for watching. See you again next time.